Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cover 3 radio show here on EC Radio. My name is Cody. I also go by Shaq, and we had a different song to open it up today. That was Dirty Water by the Standells. And for those of you who don't know why we played that song is the official win song of the Boston Red Sox. And we did not have a show last week due to technical difficulties here in the booth. But we did get to see the Boston Red Sox take home the 2018 World Series champion. And I was nothing but excited. That was one of the best nights I've had in a while, watching my Red Sox win a world championship. And I've watched baseball, but this team I watched almost every game that I could. I would watch during work. Sorry, Russ. I would watch during work. Sorry, Tom. I'd watch all the time for a day game night. I'd always be keeping up. I normally do anyway, but this year I just knew something special. With the addition of JD Martinez and with Price and Sale healthy and Mookie Betts coming off a really lower year than we were expecting, a full year of Rafael Devers, a full year of that team. We went to the playoffs after being down in the dumps, and we were on the top of the world. There's no better feeling than the Red Sox winning a World Series. I jumped in a pond. I ran around campus half naked. It was a spectacular time to be Cody Shalafu, and a spectacular time to be a Red Sox fan in general, as the Red Sox took it in 5 games, like I mentioned, and Walker Buehler didn't get the win, but pitched fantastic in the game that I said he would pitch well in. Let's recap that World Series a little bit, because the last time we were here in this chair with me listening either on EC Radio or on YouTube, as we are here on YouTube at the Cover 3 Radio Show on YouTube. So if you've missed the podcast or want to see this beautiful face, log into there. I live stream during the same time. So right now I'm live on both platforms. But anyway, last time I was with all of you guys, we were getting ready for the World Series. The night before the World Series is the last time I had my show. We basically want position by position who had the most favorable matchup in the end, who I believe was winning. And in the end, the Red Sox pulled through. Nathan Eovaldi was the best player in this entire postseason. He went basically seven innings in relief. In Game 3, which ended up being the longest World Series game ever in both of time. It was, I believe, 7 hours on the dot. And also innings, we watched 18 innings, and yeah, I watched all 18 of them. And that was an absolutely fantastic job, a spectacular performance, something that I've never seen in my life, and I might not ever see again, that type of performance coming out. Jackie Bradley Jr., another home run in that game. It was just... it's just great reminiscing over it. We won Game 1, we won Game 2, everything was looking good. Benintendi got a lot of hits off Kershaw. Kershaw wasn't looking great. We ended up losing Game 3 in a heartbreaker. Obviously, 18 innings, you're staying up and you don't win. Ugh. And then Rip Porcello had a fantastic game that one as well. The only mistake was a fastball left high to Jock Peterson that he crushed. Game 3 was a win, or Game 4 was a win, rather. That was an absolutely great game as well. And Game 5 with David Price on the mound, because David Price is good. Fun fact, David Price is good. Pitching both Game 5 and Game 2. Absolutely stellar performance. It was just everything in the season just piles up. You knew this team was good. They were slated to be a World Series favorite, and rightfully so. And they ended up coming out. They did their job. 108 games. The Yankees gave me a minor heart attack. And by minor, I mean I almost had a heart attack. It was pretty bad. And we ended up beating them in 4. We took the best team in baseball, the Houston Astros, and we beat them in 5. And we took the third best team in baseball, basically, and beat them in 5 as well. Absolutely thrilling. Couldn't make the parade, which I was upset about. And a bunch of my friends made it onto all the social media platforms or on TV, everything. I would have been right there. But no, not for Cody. Cody had jobs to do. But yeah, man, it's just a feeling that you can't take back. The only way to feel this way is we win again next year, which hopefully, because I want to go to a parade. Jesus, ugh. But that's my thing on the Red Sox. I would have been a lot more excited last week, but now that I have a week to calm down and process it, and I guarantee it's gonna be in June. And I'll be sitting there with my grandmother. I'll be like, "Hey, Grandma, we just won the World Series," and she'll be like, "Cody, we won that in October," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I know, but it's still setting in." And that's just a great, just no better feeling, no better feeling in the world than watching that team win the World Series. Uncle Dave, we did it. Uncle Dave, we did it. All right, let's move on now. Let's talk some college football. And college football is winding down. I believe this was week 9 or 10 in the college football schedule. And now this is the point where the committee is starting to put in, adjust the camera a little bit, put teams into their top 4. Which, if you don't know, college football goes to a college football playoff, which is basically a 4-team tournament. And every year, every week, there's a poll that is decided who's the best team, second best team, third best team, fourth best team, 11 down to 25. And then towards this part of the season, it changes to the college football rankings, which a committee of like 15 different people. I think Condoleezza Rice is on that. So shout out to all my people who like Condoleezza Rice. She's on the committee. And basically, they still have the AP poll, which is called the AP poll, but it can look different than the college football playoff poll. And the college football playoff poll is where you basically determine where everybody is from there. Going into last week, it was University of Alabama, Roll Tide, at number 1, University of Clemson, number 2, LSU at number 3, and Notre Dame at number 4. After this week, Alabama went into Death Valley and beat LSU number 29-0. That was an absolutely great game, fantastic game. Tua Tagovailoa actually played a whole game for the first time ever in his career, which I think is absolutely insane. And they steamrolled them. Everybody else won, basically. Everyone else important won. So where do I see this football playoff rankings right now? Who are my top 4? Here are my top 4. Obviously, Bama. Bama is the obvious choice here. They've beat everybody handedly. They have not been in a close game yet this year, which is. And last Saturday, which was a 30-point win, was the closest game to been in all year. It's just Alabama, and then like Clemson, and like everybody else. Like they're just so talented, and you see it defensively. They probably have like 4 first-round picks on that defense this year, not even including their offense. If you look at Quinn Williams. Raekwon Davis, Deontay Thompson, and Mack Wilson. All 4 of those are projected to be in the first round. They have been projected all year. Quinn Williams is playing absolutely fantastic, looking like a top 5 pick this year. And then you look over their offense. You have Tua Tagovailoa, who's an absolutely insane quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. The lefty, he has an absolute natural rope. Threw his first or second interception of his career, but first interception of the season last game, which was basically just one he overthrew, and it was just an absolute dime, so I'm not even upset about it. They have Damian Harris, Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs as their running backs. They rotate them, and they rotate them, and rotate them. On the cornerback side, you have Surtain and Williams. I keep forgetting the kid's name. Number 4. Anyway, Surtain and Williams, and then Shaquem Carter in the nickel. They're fantastic as well. To go along with Mack Wilson, you have Dylan Mosley, or Dylan Moses, and then C.J. Mosley's brother as well in there. And they're just an absolutely fantastic. And this might be one of the best Bama teams we've ever seen. And Bama has had some pretty great teams. You look at the Julio Jones and Mark Ingram teams. You look at last year's team. You look at the 2 years before that, led by Jake Coker, and they had Derrick Henry and O.J. Howard, and a bunch of players there. And on the offensive line is absolutely fantastic this year. And I think the big difference is the quarterback play. And if you look at all of the teams before and now, you have quarterbacks like A.J. McCarron, Jake Coker, Blake Sims, and Jalen Hurts. And what all 4 of those guys do is they're great game managers. And that's not a bad thing. Being a game manager is not a bad thing. Sims and Hurts were different because they had running abilities, which the other two didn't, which opened up the offense for the first time ever. Basically, Alabama is strictly pocket quarterback, pocket passing quarterback who makes the good throws, who knows when to throw it away, and they run heavily on that run game, or rely heavily on the run game. Excuse me. And that was still the case with Blake Sims and Jalen Hurts. They just were able to contribute to the run game, which kept everyone on their toes, which opened up the offense, which made defenses really pick and choose. Where do you go? Where do you go? Where do you go? In the last 2 years with Jalen Hurts behind quarterback, you see that. But the one thing, neither of them were any like gifted passers. I believe the best passer out of all those was AJ McCarron, and you see him now buried on the Raiders depth chart. And no one ever thought AJ McCarron was going to be like this great quarterback prospect or stud. Blake Sims went to the CFL. Jake Coker, I believe last time I saw him, he was undrafted. He was on the Cardinals camp. And Jalen Hurts right now is sitting on the sideline. Tua Tagovailoa gives you that quarterback. He can make any throw. If you've seen Patrick Mahomes this year in the NFL, that's basically what you have with Tua. Just with a little bit more running abilities. He broke up a 45-yard rushing touchdown. Like on a bad hamstring. I think he pulled up Gimpy, which was pretty scary, but insane that he outran one of the most talented defenses in the country year in year out in LSU and did that. But anyway, Tua just opened up the offense so much that they still have that dominant run game. Their wide receivers are still incredibly talented with Devontae Smith and Irv Smith Jr. as a tight end, and Jerry Jeudy and Adrian Waddle as their slot slash punt returner, kick returner guy. So you have just so many more. It just opens up. If you thought Bama's offense was here, they're now here. They are just above and beyond any stoppability. I don't know if there is a team that can stop Bama, and that's not me just being a fan, because I've loved Bama for the past few years. Thanks, Brandy, appreciate that. But there's just something about this team where it's like if they fail and don't win a championship, it is total bust. But we get one more year to it, so I'm fine with that. Next up on the list is Clemson. I'm done talking about Bama. Clemson has been solid all year. They had a quarterback controversy early on in the year. Kelly Bryant, who was their quarterback last year and coming into this year, got outbeat by Trevor Lawrence, who was one of the most highly touted quarterback recruits of the last, since Andrew Luck, basically. He was that good, and he's played pretty decent. For a freshman, his numbers suffice, but you definitely expect more of him as the years go on. And they still have a dominant team just all over defense, and they've just been a fantastic team, probably the second or third most talented team if it comes to pure talent. They might be more talented than Bama. There you go. Like that is it's obviously Clemson. Clemson hasn't lost this year. Clemson, I think they were on upset alert once against Syracuse, but they ended up winning that game anyway. Clemson has been, this week they played BC in BC. And I know a couple of my BC boys are going to be at that game. It will be a tougher test because BC always has some pretty good defenses. But I think it's Clemson. It's Clemson and Bama, which are clearly the top two. I won't harp too much because I actually have a lot to get through today because we have some more college news to go through. Next up is Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, I'm never sold on Notre Dame. Obviously, Notre Dame, they're Notre Dame, so they should be good at football. And they've been playing well. I just think they don't have that. Ian Book, is he a great quarterback? I don't know. Personally, I haven't looked at any stats. I haven't watched any games. I've seen a couple of games of him, actually. I've seen a couple of games of him. Maybe not this year, but I've definitely been looking at highlights and stuff, and I don't quite love it. He is mobile. He does have a decent arm. It's not like he's a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's the quarterback to get them over their hump. And especially if anyone is going through Bama, which I believe they are, they need that quarterback. I don't think any of these teams have that quarterback. One team I am scared about, if being a Bama fan, would be Ohio State, and they already lost this year. And if they don't beat a certain team at the end of the year, which we'll get to next, as I have them in, then they won't even face Ohio State, so that won't even be an issue. But does Notre Dame have it? I really haven't looked a lot at Notre Dame. I mean, obviously, like I said, they're one of the most popular sports teams. Period. Whatever, ever sport, professional, college, ever. Rudy. Shout out to Coach Quinn. Rudy, Notre Dame. Everyone loves Notre Dame. You either hate them a lot or you're like, yeah, I root for them. I root for them. I mean, I'm not rooting against Notre Dame. I just don't like what I've seen. The last few years, they always start off high in the rankings. They're always unranked or towards the bottom. And they always lose to some stupid team. And this year was almost Pittsburgh. Joey Barrett, I said they're going to struggle against Pittsburgh. And they struggled against Pittsburgh. They almost lost against Northwestern last week. And these teams, they're good. Obviously, they're good teams, Division I teams in a Power 5 conference. But if you're at number 3 team in the country, you should not be having trouble with those teams. They will be number 3 and number 4, obviously. But I think tonight at 7, after the show's over, that's when they do the official rankings. And these are just generic rankings. I believe everyone will have this coming in just only because LSU lost and just 4 and 5 just move up to 3 and 4. But Notre Dame, do I think they might be out of it? And actually, let me look at Notre Dame's schedule right now to see if football schedule, a little on the fly research here. But they face, they actually have a decently, they face Florida State this weekend, which Florida State's been pushed over. Then they have Syracuse, which is ranked number 19 right now. And they have USC. When even USC's not that great, they're still USC and they still have players. They could lose one of those 2 games, and I will not be surprised if Syracuse comes in and plays very, very well against Notre Dame. Syracuse is up. Dungy at their quarterback. They're playing fantastic. But I don't think, honestly, my personal opinion, I think Syracuse beats Notre Dame. Notre Dame is launched out of the college football playoffs. That's just my opinion. Number 4 is Michigan. Michigan's going to move up. They lost early in the year, I believe. Actually, let me check up them now. Michigan football schedule. They lost early to Notre Dame. Actually, that's the first game of the year to Notre Dame. 24-17. And they went on a nice little streak, and they've been basically blowing teams out. Other than Northwestern, who did give Michigan fits, beat Wisconsin, beat Michigan State 2 weeks ago, which was a pretty good game, and then absolutely clobbered Penn State. And they have Rutgers, Indiana, which should be wins, and they have Ohio State on the 24th, which everybody will be watching, including myself. But Shea Patterson. And here's why I say Shea Patterson. Because Alabama has throttled Shea Patterson. Shea Patterson is a graduate transfer from Ole Miss. So Shea Patterson is very familiar with Alabama, and Alabama is very familiar with Shea Patterson. Patterson could not get it done against Bama. The defense is pretty good. Devin Bush, really good linebacker. Rashawn Gary, probably a top 10, top 5 overall pick in this next upcoming draft. Good in the secondary. They'll get in, I think. I think they'll win out, and I think they'll beat Ohio State for the first time in like 12 years. But I don't see them getting anywhere because if they're 3, I don't think anyone beats Clemson and Alabama. I think it's Clemson and Alabama all the way here, and we'll get another Clemson and Alabama showdown in the college football playoffs, the 4th year in a row. And that's just what it's going to be. That's all I have to say about the subject. And that brings us into this week's It's the Yikes Moment of the Week. New thing we like to do here on the show. Something bad and something happens, just it's a yikes. So the it's a yikes moment of the week is New Orleans Pelicans. And why do I say New Orleans Pelicans? They started 4-0, and I was so confident. I'm so confident in them that I wrote an article on CelticsPulse.com. So if you've not read the article, go to CelticsPulse.com. Search up Cody Shalaford, and my article will be there. So go make sure you go read it. Grandma Ann, I'm talking to you. After this, Karen, talking to you as well. Go read it after you're done with the show here. Anyway, I wrote that the Pelicans, this 4-0 start was something that you shouldn't just take as the first 4 games of the season, but you should invest in the Pelicans, New Orleans Pelicans. They're going to be a good team. Since I wrote that article, they have gone 0-6. I am sorry, New Orleans. I am sorry. But you deserve the SCX. I deserve the SCX Moment of the Week for writing an article and then your team. All right, let's change gears yet again. Talk about the World Series. We talk about the college football playoff and my top 4 teams coming into this week. Now let's look at another aspect of college sports and let's shift to basketball. As tonight, the championship classic is in, which means Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, and Michigan State all play as the kickoff to college basketball season here. And I looked through the top 10 teams ranked by the AP poll, and I wrote a little bit about each team. So what do we have as the top 10 teams? Well, number one is Kansas, and they are led by Gerald Vick and Udoka Azubuike. And they're a solid team. Obviously, Kansas is always a solid team. And they're going to be good. Looking for another Big 12 win. I believe that will be 14 straight they win this year, I believe. 14 straight Big 12 conference championships, which is absolutely unheard of, absolutely insane. But they don't have. I don't think they have that. Not the leader, because I think Gerald Vick will walk into that and be that role, and Udoka Azubuike, he was one of the better rim protectors and centers in the league. I'm not gonna say they're gonna struggle, because that would be silly of me. But let me see. Let me go back to the site I was on earlier. There we go. But they don't have that lead point guard, I believe. And if you look at the team here, I'm going to pull up their roster just for a quick second. You have Azubuike, you have Gerald Vick. None of that, you have a lot of players that haven't really got a chance to prove themselves. They were a very talented team. They were a big veteran team. You had Zvi Mikhailuk, you had Devontae Graham, you had Azubuike and Vic, who were starters last year. So who fills out those roles? Quentin Grimes could. He's a number 10 overall recruit coming into this year. He's a great combo guard. I don't think he's going to be a point guard you need, because they lack that true point guard. But this is going to be a good team. Obviously, there's going to be a good team. It's Kansas. Kansas is always a good team. But number one, I believe they should be number one. Coming into last year, what did they really do? Went to the... When did they get knocked out? They went to the Final Four, I believe. And I had them actually winning it all last year. But anyway, there you go, Coach Cole. Your Kansas Jayhawks deserve to be number one. Now you have number two, Kentucky. Quade Green and Nick Richards returned to make an impact. Those were two freshmen, highly recruited freshmen that ended up staying. Another huge freshman class for Kentucky, and they always have these big recruiting classes. If you look at the players on their team, where do I think they'll stand out? Obviously, they're in the SEC, which isn't really known for their basketball, but they do have a Tennessee team waiting for them, which we'll get to a little bit later, as they make the top 10 as well. You look at players like E.J. Montgomery, Tyler Harrow, Ashton Hagans, also on this team. This is going to be, they have one junior and two seniors. Well, now all sophomores or freshmen, and this is what we see from Kentucky every year. Talented freshmen, they come, they play, they dip. Bye. Every year. It's been that way since Coach Cal got there. You had Anthony Davis, Nerlens Noel, Willie Cauley-Stein. Well, Willie Cauley-Stein stayed a little bit. But anyway, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last year, and also Kevin Knox last year. Gone. Bye. Michael Gilchrist, gone. Bye. You have all these top picks, top prospects, and they just come in, say hello, and giggity get the heck out of there. And this is another one of those teams. And one thing with this team is, do they have any veteran leadership? No. Emmanuel Quickly, I believe that was a redshirt freshman as well. He can come in and play some good minutes. That's always the gripe of these Kentucky teams. Is yes, they're very, very young, and they have a lot of talent, but they're still very, very young. And that's the beauty of college sports, is everyone's human. You see the human side of everybody. And you're going to see some mistakes from this team. You really, really are. That's just my thoughts on it. Going into number 3, you have Gonzaga. Gonzaga is always going to be a very, very ranked, very, very good team, well-coached team. And they're going to be highly ranked all year. They're not playing anybody super spectacular in their conference, which I don't even know the name of their conference, like the West Coast Conference? I don't know, something out of there. And Rui Hachimura, early Player of the Year candidate. He was one of those players where not a big NBA prospect. I think he'll go in mid first round, but he has a chance to be a great college player. You know, one of those players. He does a lot of different things, a lot of different things well. Does he have enough to really be that guy on the team? You also have Killian Telly on the team. Excuse me, on the team as well, who can open up the floor a little bit. And this is a big veteran team. A lot of juniors, a lot of seniors. They're big, but they're small at the same time. They only have 2 players over 6'10", but they only have 1 player under 6'3". So they're very big, but they're also very small. I don't know, but that just helps. That just goes into the defensive versatility and how much they can move around, switch, and I'm excited to watch this Gonzaga team. Like I said, they're always very, very well coached. Mark West, I believe, is the head coach. Has been there for 20 years. Has been phenomenal. They're always a top 4 seed in the tournament, and they'll be just the same this year. Like I said, I don't think they're playing anybody big. Look at their schedule right now because they're just there. Play Idaho State. They play Texas A&M and Illinois. They play Washington, Tennessee, and North Carolina back to back to back. So that'll be a very, very, very big test for them. And after that, they're back to the conference play, and that is, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's obviously not the best competition either. So now we're going to jump back. Number 4, I got Duke. It's RJ, Cam, and Zion ready to dominate. We'll get to all 3 of those players later as well. But RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, and Zion Williamson, I believe 3 of the top 4, or even the top 3 recruits coming into this season, all chose Duke. They are coming in ready to dominate. There's no true veteran leader on this team, though, which does scare me. And even in the last few years, all their freshman talent that Duke always gets as well. They've had players like Luke Kennard, and Grayson Allen that stayed after that initial wave. You had Emil Jefferson during those. You had one veteran player that was going to start, a senior or junior that was going to start and really be the safety blanket, be the leader of that team. And I don't think that Duke has that player. And if they do, then he'll be a new player to sort of the whole, not the whole fold of things, but to the starting lineup definitely, and basically to the success of their team. And it wouldn't be like they were primed to be that player. So RJ Barrett, Marquise Bolden's a junior, but you haven't seen basically enough from him. Javin DeLaurier, also another junior that you haven't really seen prove anything. Jack White, same thing as well. So you really don't have Antonio Vrankovic, which I've seen him play before, but I don't really think he's a major clog either. So you have a lot of you're basically putting it all on the freshmen, much like you did back when, frankly, you won it all. When Duke won it all with Grayson Allen and what's his face, with Tyus Jones and Julio Okafor. They were very freshman heavy. Even then, they still had Emil Jefferson to sort of balance it all out. So that's where Duke lands number 4. Do I agree with it? Obviously, they're very talented. Duke, Zion, and Cam Reddish are no people to joke with. They're going to be top 5 picks, all 3 of them, in this upcoming draft. But that's who I have. That's who ESPN has for number 4. Number 5 is Virginia. Always going to be a great defensive team. Always going to be a great defensive team. Tony Bennett's done a great job coaching there since he's got there. They're always in the top of the ACC. They're always ranked really high, really late, and they always have a big showdown with Duke or a big showdown with UNC. And it's always much-watched basketball when they play. The one thing is offensively, do they have that guy? You saw last year when they lost to University of Maryland, British Columbia. It was the first time ever a 16 seed upset a number 1 seed. And not only that, but they were the number 1 overall seed. Excuse me. So Virginia was the number 1 overall team heading into that whole entire tournament. And they got smacked up by the UMBC Beagles or something like that. But how do you rebound for that tournament loss? That is something. it was great to watch. That was a fantastic game. It was great to be a part of history like that. But geez Louise, man, Virginia. And I really look at their roster, and Kyle Guy comes to mind as an offensive weapon, but he's more of a spot up 3-point shooter. Do they have someone that can read off the dribble? And none of these teams I've watched, like, they haven't played yet in a game, and it's not like I've been doing exclusive tape on them just because I'm wicked busy right now. But I am excited to watch these teams go at it, and I am excited to watch these teams play. Obviously, tonight is a big matchup between four top 10 teams tonight. So obviously be watching that. But anyway, I digress. Do they have that scoring option? We'll just have to see. And that was something that really bit them in the butt last year in that tournament run. They didn't have that one player that can get you a bucket when you need a bucket. And we'll see if they have that player this year. Like I said, haven't watched them. Hopefully they do have that. Now is Tennessee, and they are a veteran team ready to dominate the SEC. And Tennessee, as my good friend Joseph Bear, is a big Tennessee guy at Roll Tide. I always like to give him stuff because guess who beat Tennessee? Chicago Loyola. Sister Jean, I better see you again this year. I absolutely love you, Sister Jean. I even got a t-shirt for Sister Jean, which you might have to break out sometime later in the year. But Kyle Alexander is there. You have players like Jordan Bowden, Lucas Campbell, Grant Williams, and it's all led by Admiral Schofield. And this team last year, they didn't really lose anyone huge. Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield each dropped in 14 plus a game last year. Each got around 6 rebounds. Each got assists and a half plus. Schofield more of a Grant Williams rather more of a bigger, more post-oriented player. And Admiral Schofield shot around 40% from 3 last year. So they're coming for that SEC. And especially with a team like this against a talented team like Kentucky, the difference might be veteran. And if it's tied, that veteran leadership, that senior leadership, and it's tied late in the second half, and Kentucky just can't get it done, I can totally see the Tennessee Volunteers winning that. I can see them being really up in the standings this year. If you look at who they're playing, you have games versus Louisville. They do play number 3 Gonzaga, like I mentioned. And other than that, it's all SEC teams. They do play Press Virginia, which I love. Press Virginia. Excuse me. And they do play Kentucky twice. So I move my camera down so I can see the actual schedule. They play Kentucky twice, which is going to be a huge matchup. Take the SEC as a whole. Because you have Arkansas, which is okay with Daniel Gafford, then you have Mississippi State, which is all right, and LSU, which is okay, and they're all ranked teams. Texas A&M could put out a squad. Florida always has a chance. They were a top 10 team coming into last year. Adjust my camera again. There we go. It's going to be Tennessee and Kentucky, and that's what's going to be, and that's what we're going to see. Going up next is Nevada, and the Martin brothers, the Martin twins, and team look to build off a good turning run last year. I believe they went to the final 8, I believe. I believe they also got knocked out by Chicago Loyola, if I'm not mistaken. But this team is experienced. And how experienced? On their team, they have 3 freshmen, no sophomores, and the rest are juniors or seniors. Whoa. They are a very, very big veteran team. They're Nevada, so they're not playing. Like I said, I should look at their schedule to see any of the key games coming up. But Nevada, the last few years, they've been decent with those Martin brothers, and they're very good players. They're very good players. They have sort of been relevant now for the first time in ever, really. When have you heard about Nevada basketball? Fun fact, JaVale McGee did go to Nevada, which is cool. We look at the Martin brothers. Caleb had 19 a game, and Cody had 14. Go Cody. Cody more of a facilitator with almost 5 assists per game. Also, a block and a half and a steal and a half a game. Both shoot decent. I mean, both can shoot threes. Cody shot just a little bit under 30%, and Caleb a little over 40%. But this team really has a decent foundation of where they want to go, and I would not be surprised if this team really plays really well. Like we said, also on JoJo Anderson as well, Jordan Caroline, David Cunningham, Lindsey Drew, Jalen Harris, Corey Henson, Jazz Johnson, the Martins, Trey Porter, Trayshawn Thurman, Zach Rum, and Nasir Zouza, Zoua, Zouza. Don't know exactly all those players who really play. Oh, but Zeus is from Brockton, Mass. Go Massachusetts. Yeah. But it is what it is. But they are going to put out a good squad, a talented squad, a veteran squad, squad of leadership. And if you look at their schedule, they play Loyola Chicago. That's awesome. I think that's great. No one really ranked. They play a couple Pac-12 teams other than that. It's the Mountain West Conference, and that's it. So this team could have a very, very easy path into being one of the top teams in basketball, especially if they're getting this recognition very, very early. Now move on to number 8. We have the University of North Carolina, and obviously North Carolina is a basketball powerhouse, and you have Nasir Little and Kobe White, who are two highly recruited, highly touted prospects coming on in and trying to find a team which honestly might falter to find their identity. Theo Pinson is gone from last year. Actually, let's see what their team last year. Joel Berry is gone from last year. Theo Pinson, like I mentioned. Those are two very, very integral parts. Luke May is still there, and Luke May did drop 17-10, which is going to be huge for them. But it's going to be a Luke May show and everybody else. Basically, they're going to have to find someone else. And Luke May can do it. I hope Luke May can do it. And Nasir Little, I think, was a top 5 prospect coming in. A super great defensive prospect, which we'll get to later, and I'll tell you why. And then you have Kobe White as well, a good shooter, a guard from Goldsboro, North Carolina. But really, they're going to struggle to find identity, I believe. And why do I believe that? Because, like I said, they lost some pretty key players, especially in the guard rotation. Now they're going to have to put in Caleb Ellis, Cameron Johnson, and I really don't know these players, so I can't really speak much about them, or much on them, rather. But, obviously, if I don't really know them, not saying that, but they're going to play in the ACC, they're going to play tough competition all the time. Do they have it? Do they have that identity that they need? I'm struggling to find it. Look at number 9. We got Villanova. It is going to be the Phil Booth and Eric Pascal. It's their time. It's their time to take the league. Jalen Brunson is gone. Josh Hart from 2 years ago is gone. Divashenko just dipped because he was like, hey, these teams want me. So did, what's his face? Oh. Their center from last year who went off in the Natty, or the game before the Natty. His name slips me, but he was a center. He was pretty good. He went in the late first round, early second round from last year as well. Omari Spellman. Aha, I did get it. But it's now Phil Booth and Al. And they are going to take a good recruiting class. I believe Villanova got a couple 4-stars, a couple 3-star recruits. And it's going to be them again. And Villanova never has that star power name coming into the season, but you learn about them as the season goes on. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Divashenko, all players like that. And you have to respect Villanova for what they've done. Their Coach Jay Wright is one of the best coaches in the game. And he, rightfully so, has 2 national championships in 3 years. Rightfully so. So they're going to be a good team. I actually kind of want to see who they play this year. Looking at that, they play Michigan. That's going to be fun. On Wednesday the 14th, they play at number 1 Kansas in December, which is going to be a great, great, great game. And after that, it is back to conference play. So we will just have to see about that. And like I said, I'm very excited for this They're just a well-coached team. They're like the Spurs. You're like, with them? And it's like, oh yeah, well, them. And they never disappoint. And the last team before we wrap it up here, and move on to the last segment of the show. Michigan State lost two of the best players last year, and this can said to a lot of these teams in names of Miles Bridges and Jaren Jackson Jr. And those two made this team go. It is now Cassius Winston, Nick Ward, and Josh Langford. They need to be that scorer because Bridges had 18 last year, and I believe Jackson had like 10 to 12 points a game, but he was fantastic defensively and can space the floor. Those three players now need to be the guy. And whoever does it, they have to do it and do it quick because Michigan State in the Big Ten, which has some sneaky good basketball teams, can fall under very, very, very quickly. Now, that is my opinion, and that is my sort of little synopsis on the top 10 in college basketball. Look over some other teams. You have Auburn, Kansas State, West Virginia, Oregon, Virginia Tech from 10 to 15. Syracuse, Florida State, Mississippi State, Michigan, and TCU from 15 to 20. And then UCLA, Clemson, LSU, Purdue, and Washington to round out your top 25. Teams I could see going. Let's go Qs, baby. Pushing forward. Let's go Qs. I don't see Arizona anywhere. And even though with their scandals, they lost a good amount of players, Arizona can still be a very, very, very good basketball program. They still are a very, very good basketball program. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty good. As I mentioned, I have to watch more basketball. I can see Oregon going with star recruit Bol. Virginia Tech has a really good player. I forgot what his name is. Something Alexander. He's very, very good as well. So, yeah, that is your basically just run down the top 10 starting tonight of college basketball. We get more into that as the season goes on. And now for my favorite part of today. A way too early mock draft of the top 10 of the NBA draft. There we go. And these, I don't know how these teams were. I went on NBADraftNet.com, which has a bunch of rankings and also goes into the Draft Express. NBA Draft.net, and it has a scouting board. So a lot of these things that I got were off the scouting board because, like I said, I have not seen everyone play yet, and I've watched a couple of their highlight films, but I haven't got a chance to get everybody. So a lot of these come off straight. Basically, I'm just picking things off of the scouting report, which professional scouts do. So thank you for professional scouts for giving me my stuff. But right now, Phoenix, and on the website, it was Phoenix, Memphis, Dallas, Atlanta, Orlando, Chicago, Sacramento, Brooklyn, New York, and LA, Lakers. And that was just the order I went in. I didn't go in and see who's leading standings now. This is, I guess, a projected where everyone's going to be. It's where everyone's going to be. Also, I don't believe this comes into draft day trade. This doesn't take account draft trades and prior draft pick protections as well. So this board could look entirely different. It will look entirely different when we do our last one towards the end of the year. Right now, Phoenix, they pick R.J. Barrett. Easily the best prospect in this draft. This guy can do it all. He's a good defender, good playmaker, great scorer on all three levels, or good scorer on all three levels. Perfect size at 6'7", 205 for a guard. Great offensive and defensive potential. He could be Kawhi Leonard-esque. Okay, I don't want to say that. But he could be one of the top defenders and top offensive players in the game of basketball at the same time. He does need to be a little bit better as a playmaker and need to be more consistent. He has a good drive. He has a good handle. He can shoot. Just needs to be more consistent with it. And with R.J. Barrett, he might be a little raw, but he's going to be one of the better players in college basketball off rip. I can't wait to watch him play tonight. And they're going to be a very, very good basketball team throughout the entire year. And he's going to be he's going to be from Duke. Getting ahead of myself, Cody. But R.J. Barrett from Duke, easily the number one player in this whole thing from Canada. Going to Duke this year, like I said, can score all three levels. Just needs to be more consistent. You can find consistency in that jump shot, it's game over. Next, we have a French athlete, Sekou Doumbouya. Very fluent fluid athlete, 6'9", 225. He reminds you of Giannis in terms of athleticism, length. Very good ball handler, especially in transition. I saw him take a rebound and dart past everybody at 6'10", 225. He's faster than everybody. Has shown to be already a fantastic shooter and good defensive awareness. The scouting report wasn't up from him, so I did have to watch a highlight film. So I did only get the highlights and not a lot of the things that he does wrong. But I did see that he's a very good backdoor cutter. He's only 18, so everybody on this list needs their awareness, both offensively and defensively, does have to go up. That's just a given. What was I going to say? But from what I've seen, he looks absolutely fantastic. My friend Brian's all over this guy. And I was looking into him, I'm like, wow, he's very, very, very good. Is he better than Luka? It was him and Luka were the two top prospects internationally the last year or two. So he is very, very good to be in that class. I think Luka Doncic is going to be a fantastic NBA player. And like I said, it's 6'9", 225, and a good ball handler and a good shooter at those. And if he is a good shooter now against professional athletes in Europe, yes, it is Europe. It's not the NBA, but still professional athletes, still grown men. If he can just develop a little bit, and obviously all these players aren't going to come out and be LeBron James right off the rip, or all-star players right from day one, but they have these potential to be star players, and Memphis really just needs somebody. They're looking to redo the franchise basically and reset their star players, and Sekou Doumbouya, he might be the guy. Number 3, you have Cameron Reddish to Dallas. And he can be paired with Luka and work on ball or off ball. He has the ability to bring the ball up in transition, and yes, but initiate the offense is what I was trying to go for. Initiate the offense at 6'8", 6'7". A great athlete, tremendous athlete, defensive potential at the wazoo, has a good jumper. His three-point consistency does need to improve, just like RJ, but I believe he can be a step below RJ when it comes to at the end of their career. He's going to be a phenomenal player, multiple-time All-Star. And like I said, Dallas has Harrison Barnes right now, which they're moving to the 4. They have DeAndre Jordan, they have Luka, and they have Dennis Smith Jr. They think that small forward or that shooting guard, wherever they want to put Luka at, obviously, or run Luka with. Cameron Reddish can be that guy. You can even start him off the bench his first year. You could be a solid player in that second unit, but he's going to be a great player, a good player from day one, and he can be the man in Dallas with Luka and Dennis Smith. And if they draft him and they end up at this 3 spot and they do get him, that franchise really does know how to draft, and they know how to develop their players. Excuse me. He'll be a fantastic player there. And I have him going number 3. Number 4, we have Zion Williamson. He is 6'6", 280 pounds, absolute athletic freak. If you have not heard the name Zion Williamson, please look it up on YouTube. Watch his dunks. He is absolutely freakish. He can jump higher than anybody I've ever seen at 280. 6'6", 280. Strong as all get out. He is just, ugh. The one downside is all I've seen him do is dunk. And his packages, his highlight tape is phenomenal. He's been one of the most covered athletes in high school history. He might be, okay, I don't want to say he was bigger than LeBron, but he might have got more attention than LeBron, like, over the course of his high school career. And LeBron got attention. And this dude is big, bulky, strong, athletic. But all I've seen him do is dunk. I want to see more of the ball handler. He played some pretty small kids in high school. These are one of those things, and their kids are smaller than me. And I can't stop 6'6", 280. So neither can they. As a shooter, against better competition, I've seen him earlier on in the year. Duke had like 3 or 4 games in Canada, which they showed on ESPN. And he did well there. He actually did a lot better than I thought. If he can keep that up, then my take on Zion will change, and I will not be the first. I will be the first to say I got him wrong, and he's actually a very, very good basketball player. I want to see his jumper more. I want to see his post skills more. Already one of the larger players in the NBA, but you're still 6'6", and you're still gonna get thrown around a little bit. If he can be off the dribble at 30 pounds bigger than LeBron, that's going to be scary. That is going to be absolutely terrifying. Does he have? But I've been saying it for the last 2 years. If he doesn't make it, he'll make it. But if he hasn't become that player that everyone wants him to be, and starts putting bust tag on him, I'll be the first to say I've said that a little bit, and I'm not gonna front from it. I think he might have that bust potential. He will go to Atlanta in this mock draft, which will fit their running gun system perfectly. Him and Trae Young, that'd be the most watched team ever in history. Him and Trae Young, those are two. Oh God, people would lose their minds. Anyway, that is where I have Zion Williams going at number 4 in the mock draft. He went 2, I believe. Next up, we have Romeo Langford going to Orlando Magic. Romeo Langford is a guard. Going to the University of Indiana. Also, Reddish and Zion are both going to Duke as well. Romeo Langford from Indiana. Natural scorer, doing all facets of the game. All levels. He can shoot the three. He's good in mid-range. He's good at getting the cup. He can create his own shot. Has good playmaking ability as well. And he's the scorer that Orlando needs. If you look at Orlando Magic, I've been saying this. Watch Orlando. And look at Orlando. I went to the Celtics game against Orlando, and they came in and beat Celtics in the Garden. And they're a very good defensive team. You have Mo Bamba coming in the ranks now. I believe Nikola Vucevic will be gone by the end of the season. Aaron Gordon has good defensive potential. Jonathan Isaac has good defensive potential. Simmons has good defensive potential. And they're... I'm just going to say for the next 5 minutes. They're molding and preparing this team to be an absolutely savage defensive team and a great defensive team. If they can get that one scorer that puts it all together, they'll be golden. I believe if they pick 5 and Romeo Langford's on the board, that's who they go for. Like I said, he's a natural scorer at all levels. He can get to the basket. He can pull up in transition in mid-range. He can go out and catch and shoot 3. He's just a scorer. Defensively, he may not be great. But he has a potential to be. I think a lot of these players so early in their careers that they have that potential to be great. This year is when we sort of, over the next course, cannot speak. Sorry, I'm feeling a little sick. Over the course of this next year, we're going to see them, we're going to sort of even out who the really good defensive players are, who the bad defensive players are, who the good scorers are, who everything is. So a lot of these players are all coming in with like the same praises, great scorer, great defender, because they dominate a high school competition. Now this is the time where we start weeding everything out. Now everyone's playing at the same competition, the same level, all grown men. That's what we start seeing and where they're going to project as pros. Number 6, we have a good defender. I believe he will be a good defender. Nasir Little. Need here is that small forward for Chicago. Chicago's Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter Jr. are going to be their 4 and 5 respectively going forward for the next 1,200 years. You have Zach LaVine who's playing out of his mind, and Chris Dunn who is there and is going to be good. So you need that 3. That's that right in the middle. Tried what's his face? Denzel Washington, Valentine. If they tried Denzel Washington. Yeah, he could act his way into the NBA. I wouldn't be surprised. But they tried Denzel Valentine from Michigan State. Nothing really doing there. But Nasir Little can be that guy. And that team is awful defensively. Awful defensively. He can come in and be one of the best defenders in the country this year. He reminds me a lot of Stanley Johnson. I was really high on Stanley Johnson. Hopefully he doesn't like pan out like Stanley Johnson has, but he reminds me of Stanley Johnson. A great defender. He needs to improve offensive game. He doesn't really have a dribble. He can basically catch and shoot or drives the basket, which is fine for this NBA. If he can be the best at that, that's fine. But if he can develop that handle, be an all-around player, that's great. Now going on 7, 8, 9, and 10, I really don't have a scouting report on them. I just have Chris Wilkes going to Sacramento, small forward from UCLA. Number 8, Brooklyn takes Jalen Horde, a small forward from Wake Forest. And I have Darius Baisley going, a center from Western Kentucky, going to New York Knicks. In LA, and the Lakers, it all depends what they get in free agency. They can get a center. They don't need a center. They can get another guard. They don't need a guard. They won't need a guard there. So it all really, they're going to make a big move. Really all just depends on who they are. Well, that's it. That's the show tonight. So we covered Red Sox, World Series, college football, and college baseball. Also, we talked about New Orleans Pelicans getting the Issa Yikes Moment of the Week. Now, we are on to the Today in Sports History. And here we go. In 1976, on this day, Twins reliever Bill Campbell is the first free agent to sign with a new team ever in baseball, joining the Boston Red Sox for $1 million over 4 years. So there you go. That's your fun fact. Today is the first time someone has ever... What was I going to say? Oh. Today... In 1976, November 6th was the first time that an MLB free agent was ever signed. So there you go. There's the show. I hope you guys all had fun. I know I did. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at @the_cover_3. Make sure to follow me on Celtics Pulse. We have a Pulse Sports podcast and Celtics Pulse. I watch, read, and write NBA articles. One a week about the Celtics, one a week about the NBA in general. Just a topic I pull out. I remember I've wrote about the Celtics' offensive struggles and why I believe they'd be fine. Wrote about Derrick Rose, Klay Thompson's 50-point games, and I also wrote about New Orleans Pelicans, as I mentioned. So wow, I cannot talk. I really need to get off the air, but definitely make sure to go back and watch those. And read those. I'm also on some podcasts there as well. We're doing a great job at keeping the website up and going and the Twitter account bumping. Definitely make sure to go give me some support there and us, all the other content creators there as well. Remember that we are on YouTube as well. Hello, YouTube. So if you miss the show and be like, dang, nah, man, I want to see what that Cody fella said, then go back and watch. They're up as a video. So after this, about like an hour later, it'll be put up on if you type in the Cover 3 radio show, it should be there. There's even a couple ones from the summer I did, so make sure to go check out those earlier on in the year if you missed that. And maybe if I figure it out, I'm going to put on some of my older shows and bring them on and put them on just as like audio clips. So if you missed any of those or want to go back and watch one of your favorites, you can. Well, that's going to do it for me here. I will see everybody next week.